Hello, everyone, and welcome to my YouTube channel. So, yesterday began one of the events which we have been always predicting on this channel, that is an all out war between Israel and Iran. The night before yesterday, Israel commenced its unprovoked bombing campaign against Iran, hitting several targets in northwestern and western Iran. Even it led to a lot of losses for the IRGC, by the way, and a lot of critical military infrastructure was indeed destroyed. But then last night came what many are calling Operation True Promise 3, the retaliation to those strikes by Iran. And a lot of missiles and projectiles launched from Iran did hit even Tel Aviv. The heart of Tel Aviv was breached. Indeed, the much hyped Iron Dome failed to intercept a lot of these missiles, and the damage caused is being assessed by the Israelis as of now. But what we can say is that the Israeli air defense systems, the Iron Dome, the THAAD, these have not lived up to their expectations at all. In fact, we in India must be proud of what our scientists at the DRDO produced with the Akash air defense systems and the Akash Tir, for example, that not a single projectile, be it a drone, be it a fighter jet, or be it a missile itself, none of it could breach Indian territory, or it could not land on any critical infrastructure. So, have we even surpassed Israel in terms of air defense technology? That begs the question, definitely. And it also tells us that it's just India and Russia, perhaps, which are leaders in terms of air defense systems, because Western air defense systems have failed in Ukraine, and once again they failed last night. One more thing I would like to add, that Tehran, the Iranian embassy in India, that is, I'm not sure about the Iranian embassies of other countries. The embassy has made a massive claim. In a tweet, they said that they have downed two Israeli F 35 stealth fighter jets. Now, if that is true, it is a groundbreaking development in terms of defense technology, and it's sent shockwaves throughout the defense market. The F 35, the prospects for which are already looking bleak in terms of getting new customers or successfully fulfilling existing deals. Even the remaining prospects will collapse in case this is true. It would prove that Soviet era Russian radars managed to hit a jet which was conceptualized 6 to 7 years after the Soviet Union's collapse. Because we must remember, Iran does not have the world's best air defense system. It's just Soviet era air defense systems like the S 300. That's their best possible. They don't even have the S 400. So if they've managed to shoot it down, but if it is true, it's massive and groundbreaking. But what are the reverberations for India? So let us dive deep into it, right? So, first of all, before I make any commentary on what the future could hold or what stakes India has, I need you to focus on a couple of maps. Here is a map put out on Twitter just tonight by the Israeli Defense Forces. Just zoom into it a little bit. You'll see that the map depicts Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh as legitimate parts of China and Pakistan. No other country on earth has the gall to do this except for these two, and now Israel, of course. They've shown Leh Ladakh and Jammu and Kashmir as legitimate parts of China and Pakistan, respectively. Not only that, even significant portions of Arunachal Pradesh have been depicted as part of China. So, this is what the true intentions are. Just to compare it with Iran slightly. The Tehran Times, which is the Iranian regime's mouthpiece to the English-speaking world, put out this map in a cartoon, basically mocking a trade war, a potential trade war between India and the US over Apple manufacturing its iPhones in India. That map does not show India completely, but it shows the important parts. It shows us enough. It shows the entire region of Jammu, Kashmir, and Ladakh as parts of the Republic of India. So that's a fact. And below the tweet, after the outrage and all happened on Twitter, I was appalled at the kind of apologia for the Israelis. A lot of Indians saying, yeah, well, we recognize the two state solution as well. We don't recognize the Golan Heights as part of Israel. Well, my friends, if you compare Golan Heights, which are occupied by Israel, to Jammu and Kashmir, you are basically shooting India in the foot. Why? Because Jammu and Kashmir, being a part of India, is a legal fact. It was a legally undertaken procedure signed by the then Maharaja of Kashmir back in October 1947, and that's how Jammu Kashmir and Leh Ladakh came into India. What's the story of the Golan Heights? The Golan Heights have been illegally occupied by the Israelis, and it is a legitimate part of Syria, in fact. And India is 100% correct in recognizing Golan Heights as Syria. We recognize Israel as well. We do not deny anyone's right to self determination, but Golan Heights are not a part of Israel, it's a part of Syria proper. Coming to the next part, what are India's stakes in it? Well, my dear friends, if the Iranian regime collapses, it would essentially mean the death of 50% of India's geopolitical ambitions in Western and South Asia. Why? Because if the regime were to collapse, essentially you would have the Shah, the descendants of Reza Shah Pahlavi, coming back into power again. And as history tells us, this family has been vehemently pro-Pakistan because of their entire Sito-Cento politics. Both Pakistan and Iran under the Shah were assets of the of NATO and the US in this particular part of the world. And the Shah actively played a role in arming and financing Pakistan's illegal wars against India in 65 and 71. So we should be very, very careful while cheerleading this unprovoked assault on Iran. Not just that, a collapse of the Iranian regime would mean it would be pro-US, it would be pro-Israel, but it would also be pro-Turkey and Azerbaijan. If any country was if you were to rank the top three most worst enemies of India in today's geopolitical scenario, it would be Pakistan on the top, China after that, and third would be Turkey, and fourth would be Azerbaijan, not far behind. It would be pro-Turkey and Azerbaijan, which means that our ally, of one of our greatest allies in the recent times, Armenia, its existence would come under threat, because Armenia and Iran have have some sort of an unspoken mutual defense pact. However, if Iran's regime was to be pro-NATO, which it means it cannot interfere negatively to contradict Turkey's territorial ambitions. And Turkey wants to exterminate Armenia. The reason being, Armenia's resistance and its defiance is a thorn in the side of the Turks. Despite of the Armenian genocide and killing lakhs of Armenians, despite of the genocide in 2023 in Nagorno-Karabakh, the Armenians stand defiant and resilient as a nation. The Turks see that small piece of land as an unfinished business, and hence they will stop at nothing to basically wipe that nation off the map. In fact, I saw some reports on social media that there were Israeli jets which flew in from Azerbaijan, which is obviously logistically more convenient, since the Iranians won't have any time to react if they were to attack from Azerbaijan. And Israel indeed is rumored to have several bases in Azerbaijan, not to mention that they are the largest customer for Azerbaijani oil and natural gas, and the largest supplier of Azerbaijani arms. In fact, even exceeding the Turks and the Pakistanis in this matter. They are the top supplier of weapons to Azerbaijan for its criminal activities against the innocent nation of Armenia, and even its activities against Iran, by the way. So this is something which we really have to take into account. Most people in India, most experts in India, believe that Israel is an ironclad brother of India, right? We are in this together, heart with heart, soul with soul. But the reality is totally different, my friends. Just a few points. We were on opposite sides in Syria. We are on opposite sides in the South Caucasus. We are on opposite sides when it comes to the status of the Iranian regime. So the three major points, I've highlighted three major points over here. Moreover, Israel would like for a more US dominated world order, US and NATO dominated world order, not a multipolar world order with multiple powers dominating multiple spheres in this world. That's a video we will come to in the future. But these are facts now. If Iran falls, we lose our connect with Armenia. We lose our connect with Central Asia. We'll have to go through massive amount of arm twisting and give Iran and perhaps even NATO massive concessions in order to get simple projects done through Central Asia. And not just Central Asia, even Afghanistan. How do you think that the Taliban, which was supposedly Pakistan's ironclad brother, is hammering them more than we have in the past 20 years? In fact, the Taliban has killed more Pakistani soldiers than India in the past 3-4 years than India did in the past 2 decades after Kargil. Why? It's because India is sympathetic to the Afghan people. We shipped medical supplies to them. We shipped food to them. It's lifeline for Afghanistan. Besides, they've also allowed us to go on with our projects. How do you think it travels, my friends? It goes through the Chabahar port in Iran. Imagine if Iran was to fall, they were to become anti-Taliban or pro-Pakistan. How do you think we'll be able to go to Afghanistan then? Obviously, our part of Kashmir, which connects us to Afghanistan, is currently occupied by Pakistan, which is why we have to take this massively circumventing route. Afghanistan would have no choice but to seek Gwadar as an alternative to Chabahar. And even if it seeks Chabahar, then there is no way India is going to be a part of it. It would seek a Chinese developed port or a Sino-Pak port. It might join the CPEC if that were to materialize. Not just Armenia or Central Asia or Afghanistan. Let us go to Russia as well. Russia's ambition since the past 300 years has been to set its foot on a warm water port. The sea which they have to the north has been essentially of no use for the past so many years because it's covered with ice. The sea which they have to the east has been very hostile because of their rivalry with Japan. So they want a stable seaport, and Chabahar meets that requirement. In fact, it was conceptualized back in the early 2000s. India, Russia and Iran were to trade in one single line. The INSTC comes right there. What if Iran was to become pro-US? Russia loses contact with Chabahar. Then who does it rely on? It relies much more on China for all its trade. It would be horrible for us if Russia and China were to be completely galvanized. Russia would have to give many concessions to China to be able to use all its ports effectively. The INSTC would be dead. Russia would be forced to join Gwadar, to join CPEC if Iran collapses. It would be forced to do this, my dear friends. Imagine Russia, China, Pakistan making a massive trade route as part of the CPEC and as part of the Belt and Road Initiative. That would be the end of geopolitical ambitions of India, my friends. All these mega deals from Russia, which we stand to get, like the Su-57 joint production, S-500 joint production, Pantsir missiles joint production, acquiring the Voronezh radar or the Container S radar, early warning radar systems, or so many things which we are working on. Russia will have to scrap most of those things just because they would be massively dependent on China and by extension Pakistan. So we've got to realize all of this. India needs stability in Iran. India needs the current regime in Iran to stay. So that is all I had to say, friends. These are all the stakes that India potentially stands to lose if Iran were to collapse. We would be isolated, friends. Totally isolated. Pakistan anti-India, Maldives anti-India, China anti-India, Bangladesh anti-India, and even Iran anti-India. Russia not as pro-India as it is right now. Afghanistan not as pro-India as it is right now. Armenia, at best Turkish vassal, at worst totally occupied by the Turks. It's no other way of saying it. So now, having factored in all these things, do we believe that a collapse of the Islamic regime of Iran is a good thing, my dear friends? I don't think it is. So I hope I could give you some reasonable insights into the issue. Please like, subscribe and share my channel if you like this video. Thank you so much, friends. Jai Hind. Take care.